For this next piece, I'd like to share a poem that I recently completed, and it's called The Sea, or An Individual That Looks Like Me. And it goes like this. Now it makes sense to me. For the first time in my life, I can understand and see why some people bear angst to be the one and only piece of fruit on a tree. I am completely comfortable in a sea of people that don't look like me. People come in all colors, shapes, and sizes. The variety provides a number of pleasant surprises. The differences between us can sometimes be a reason to unify and celebrate with glee. And no matter if you are as large as can be or as small as a grape or even a pea, it's important that we dwell together in harmony as members of one race, humanity. And I am totally and completely fine to be a part of the sea or an individual that looks like me. The complications have forced me to bend a knee, but when I arise, I am truly free, and I revert to the plan, the blueprint that He created for all of us, you and me. For it makes things so much easier to be a part of the sea or an individual that looks like me. I can walk with others. We can be unified. We can be one nation under God without surrendering the nuances of our ethnicity. So for all of those of you that have nearly succumbed to the pressures of society, keep your locks, your style, your accent, and embrace your heritage and your genealogy. And let's live with the understanding that it is totally and completely fine to be a part of the sea or an individual that looks just like me. So now let's talk about that piece. The sea or an individual that looks like me. I love that piece for a number of different reasons. As an African American, and especially in the context of some of the recent things that have happened, this is my way of artistically expressing myself during a time of great turbulence. A lot has been going on. There is what took place in Ferguson and what took place in New York, and truth of the matter speaking, what's been taking place for a number of years, the injustices that have been perpetrated against African Americans and against other people groups as well. So for those of you that are understanding and embracing who I am as a person and this thing I created called Encouragement is Key, every single thing I do is encouragement based. I am not tied to a particular group of people only in the things and the sentiments and the hope and the encouragement that I share. I am tied to all of humanity and to all of those of you who understand and who speak the universal language of encouragement. However, as an African American, I have to voice my concern with my people in the outrage and the outcry that we've, in terms of the things that we've been suffering in recent weeks and months. And with that, I think it's important for other African Americans, young and old, to understand that this is not a time to pick a side. This is not a time to gear up and mount up against other groups of people just for the visual differences' sake. But we, as a group of people, black, white, and others, will mount up against the injustices of a system that has been corrupted, in many cases, to the core. We will fight together. But as an African American, I want to be able to speak to those of my brothers and sisters that may not feel so beautiful, that may not feel that they are valued, because I'm here to tell you, black lives do matter. Black lives are precious. Lives are precious. Having said that, I was on my way to work one day, and as I realized that I was in a situation of traveling on a shuttle, and I looked around a few times and I realized that I was the only African American on this particular shuttle. And part of me celebrated, while the other part of me didn't feel as good, because I wondered, well, where were the rest of the African Americans? Nonetheless, I, James W. Falcon, felt quite comfortable on that shuttle, on my way to work. I felt honored, I felt privileged, and I felt excited because in this case, the differences were not to be mourned, but were to be celebrated. The uniqueness of who I am as a person, as an individual, prompted me to smile. And if I could have, I would have done leprechaun kicks right there on the shuttle. Why? Because I understand. There are people in my life that have helped me to understand my worth and my value as a person, as a human being, as a father, as a grandfather, as a neighbor, as a friend, as a co-worker. They've helped me to understand, and they are black, white, Oriental, Native American, Indian, Middle Eastern, whomever, from wherever. I have been able to understand my worth and value as based on the interactions that I have with people on an everyday basis. And so the poem I wrote speaks to this. Yes, there are definitely differences. Yes, there are definitely things that set us apart. Yes, we sometimes look differently. We sound differently. We have different tastes. We pursue things differently. But as I shared with you a few segments ago, pain is what's universal. And so are differences. Join me in celebrating our uniqueness. Join me in celebrating your heritage. Join me in celebrating your genealogy. Join me in celebrating the fact that in certain settings, you may not blend in. In certain settings, you may be the diversity that the application said exists. But in either case, take pride in who you are. And to those of you who are listening, and to those of you that will understand the next sentiment, if you are African American in the sea and the swirl and the whirl of all that's happening that have risen up against us over the years, you in particular, I say, be comfortable in who you are. Be proud of who you are. Celebrate who you are and understand that it's okay to be a part of the sea and to be an individual that looks just like me. Hey everybody, welcome back. This is your host, James W. Falcon, for this episode number 2 of Encouragement is Key presents Poetry TV. Why the smile on my face? I'm just thrilled. I'm excited to have completed yet another episode. You just don't know how fun this is for me to have put this all together. Plus, had to come up out of my jacket. It was getting hot because the juices were flowing, the passion was being poured out, and I hope that you enjoyed viewing and listening to this as much as I did creating this particular segment. So, here's what I want you to do for me. What I want you to do is to check me out. Come to the Facebook page, Encouragement is Key, or go to my blog site by the same name, Encouragement is Key. This particular episode is going to be posted out on YouTube, so you can find this as well as the pilot episode if you just simply type in Encouragement is Key presents Poetry TV. This will be episode number 2. So drop this link on or in an email, send it as a text message, post it on your Facebook pages, and bless somebody else. If you enjoyed any part of this, if you thought it was funny, if you thought it was whatever, I want you to communicate your sentiments to some other people. Because here's what I'm about. If you haven't already figured it out, James W. Falcon certainly loves to write. I fancy myself to be a poet. I love poetic expression. I love artistic expression. But the basis, the core of everything that I do is encouragement-based. That, to me, is the universal language, and I intend to speak it until I cannot speak it anymore. So join me. Yeah, it's quite heavy as a topic. I realize that. But here's what you can do. There's a tagline that I developed for all of this, and it simply goes like this. Encouragement. Yep, it's corny until you need some. So let's do this together, you and me. I invite you. Let's become a part of a force that puts smiles on people's faces and helps people to see themselves in a better light and helps people to be able to see the horizon over the obstacles. James W. Falcon here, your host of this particular journey and artistic expression called Encouragement is Keys, Poetry TV. Until next time, you do this. Get, be, and stay encouraged in everything you do. We'll be back at you on the next episode. Take care.